Hey guys, how are you guys doing? It's been a while, and for anybody who hasn't known and I didn't really announce that I was gonna do it, so I apologize for that. But so this past week, last week definitely, uh, I was away. So there wasn't a lot of content that was going up on the channel for a while, and I'm sure people saw the little short that I did that kind of gave a little clue of where I was. So from March 7th to March 9th, I was in Washington, D.C. I was in D.C. I was in our nation's capital for AwesomeCon. So AwesomeCon was a kind of a makeup, in a sense, for missing MegaCon this year. That really bummed me out a lot. It really did. I had to cancel that trip, and it really bummed me out. I thought I had everything all planned, all the paperwork, in terms of like, not on my side, but everything in terms of going through it, like, in terms of getting the time off to go on my job side and things like that, and it just didn't work out, and that pissed me off. And it bummed me out. So, and I knew that there was another convention coming up soon, and it was a convention that was on my bucket list, my wish/bucket list, AwesomeCon, which happens in DC, Washington, D.C. It's at the Walter E. Convention Center. Nice convention center. And it was my first time going to AwesomeCon, and I had a lot of fun. I've been through DC, but never really planted my feet in there and walked around the metro area of DC, and I had a lot of fun, guys. I took the train down. I took a nice train ride down from New York into DC. It was fun, very relaxing. And while I was there, I was sitting next to a woman that was heading towards Virginia. Yeah, she was going into Virginia, and she turned to me and asked me, "So where are you headed?" And I was like, "Washington." And she's like, "Oh, I'm heading to Newport News, Virginia." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Oh," and we had a nice conversation. But yeah, Washington was fun. It was very eye-opening as well. I did, before the convention started, guys, which the first day was, it started at 1 and ended at 8. So the first day I got in and got into my hotel, which was nice. It was a nice hotel, which was in the Chinatown section of DC, which was fine. I definitely had a lot of fun, basically, even before the next day. Once Friday hit, which was the first day, because I got down to Thursday. So once Thursday hit, I got up early Thursday, and I was like, you know what? Before the con, I'm gonna hit basically every site that I wanted to hit, and I did. I was able to accomplish a lot. There were some things I wanted to accomplish, but I didn't have the opportunity to get. But for most part of it, I did. I was able to. The first thing I said when I stepped foot in Washington, I was like, the first monument I need to go see, was the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, and I did. That was the first thing I did. And what I loved about Washington is everything was in walking distance. Everything was in distance of walking. I didn't have to Uber anywhere or anything like that. If I wanted to get somewhere, it was fine. You'd be surprised. You see a lot of motorized scooters in Washington. There was a lot of that. And don't let it knock you. If you've never been to Washington, Washington is very urban. It is very urban. And I felt really comfortable there. It wasn't as if I felt like a stranger. I felt very comfortable. And it's funny because I was telling my dad, and I was like, and I said, yeah, it was very, and he's like, yeah, he's like, of course, he's like, why do you think they call it Chocolate City? once you get past Georgetown and all that, yeah, it's very urban. I was like, yeah, it was. So I was very cool about that. But I was able to get to see every memorial that I saw. I got to see the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, and that memorial is beautiful. The stone that they created it from is beautiful, and there's a lot of quotes around of all his quotes and things he's said in the past. So it was really nice. It's in an area that's really nice. It overlooks the Platonic, and it's really nice. And I did film there, and you could. I mean, I think it's up. I think I posted that. So that was kind of a clue. Oh, he was in Washington. Okay. So, but then from there, I hit other memorials. Like I hit the Korean War Memorial and the World War II Memorial, and those were definitely. I definitely wanted to see it, but morally, those with me for my grandfather. My grandfather was a veteran of both of those wars, so I definitely need to pay respects. And then I went to the Lincoln Memorial, and I forgot I got to see the Lincoln Memorial. In all video games and movies, you see it and everything like that, and then to finally see it in person, I was like, oh, it is exactly. He's sitting on a chair and almost like looking out, and you could see the Washington Memorial. I passed that when I was coming, and that's when I did that video, that little short. You know, didn't Wonder Woman use this as a weapon? And yeah, she did. And I appreciate all the views on that short, because that was pretty funny. I thought it was funny. I was like, let me do this. But for people who don't know, yes, Wonder Woman 6, Tom King, it was Giganta that used it first. She ripped it off and tried to hit Wonder Woman with it, and Diana just caught it and threw it right back at her. So it was pretty funny. So yes. Got to see the Smithsonian Museum. I walked right by it. Didn't go inside because when I was walking by, it was still closed. It didn't open up till 10. So I was like, just keep it moving, keep going. And so I was just walking around and hitting the different sites. It's funny, the water that it looks over the Lincoln Memorial, it was drained out. It wasn't there. I was like, whoa, the water's not there. And every time I looked out, all I kept thinking about was Forrest Gump when Jenny was running across it. And I even started yelling, Jenny! And people was laughing about it, so it was pretty funny. So I went from there, and then I was able to hit, and then I was able to go to the Smithsonian Museum of African American History and Culture, and I got real emotional up in that museum. That museum was open to the public. You just had to go online and get a little ticket to get inside, reserve a ticket, just so you can get in. But it was free. It wasn't like I had to pay anything. But it was I took a lot of pictures in there, and they have things in there that are just so crucial to our history, and it really just showed how important. So if you ever start feeling like we are not important and we don't contribute to this country in any way and shape or form, go to that museum, and that'll show you just as much how much we do contribute to. And they have it. The exhibits are categorized from sports to science to this to that. You get to see the first gas mask that was created by this gentleman by the name, I'm forgetting his name right now, and it's in there. You can see the gas mask. I'm like, whoa. Of course, like music, you got to see the route from the Green Book that they took, and there's a replica of the car in the museum. There's a lot of memorabilia that was donated to the museum, like from James Brown. Like he had like a James Brown, I guess, donated one of his famous suits, and I was just like, oh, that was an eye opener just to see that. But then you go upstairs to like the sports area, and you're just seeing everything. You get to see an exhibit from battling Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson was considered, he's the first black boxer and world champ and never even held it. And he's actually related to LL Cool J, which is actually really cool. Mahershala Ali is going to be doing a movie on him. And you get to see stuff for Ali and just show how important it was, not just for boxing, but his political stance, and just see how he looked at things. And it's just great to see that. You know, you go down the list of all the different athletes, from Arthur Ashe to Wilma Rudolph to the Williams sisters and Michael Jordan, and, you know, and things are dedicated to them. Like, they have memorabilia in there that, you know, and it was great to see, especially when you get to the Michael Jordan part, you get to see that classic commercial, I Want to Be Like Mike. And I was like, oh my God, that takes me back. And me and a girl was talking about that. She's like, I remember when this came out. I was like, yeah, me too. And, you know, Wheaties box. It was fun just to see that different all the black recipients of the Medal of Honor was there, and it was they just showed from different wars, and people, like, you saw like the contributor of blacks in different wars, from the Spanish-American War to the Civil War to, you know, to the World War I, World War II, Korean War, like, and different uniforms. It was, and I just got emotional. I was just like, yeah, okay, I gotta give me some time. It just got me very emotional, and but it was a very fun museum. The only problem I had with it is there's a lot of kids in there that just was just running around and joking around and throwing stuff off balconies, and I'm just like, you stupid kids. I was like, you stupid kids. So by that time, I left about like 2 o'clock, and because I knew I wasn't gonna, you know, I wanted to experience Washington as a whole before going into the center. And after that, I just walked to the center, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And the first thing I did, because I was only there for 2 days, I was like, I kept saying to myself, Chris, don't buy nothing, don't buy nothing, don't buy nothing, not yet. Usually, guys, when I go to conventions, I don't buy anything on the first day. And unfortunately, guys, I didn't really film anything because the first day was really slow, and there wasn't a lot of people cosplaying. And usually when I go to conventions, I usually do mock interviews with various cosplayers. But it wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot until like later by the time I was leaving, there was some. But then the second day I came, there were a little bit more, but it still wasn't if I had did it, I was just like, yeah, I don't think it would have turned out that good. So I had to really kind of, I didn't really film anything, but I took a lot of pictures of it. But the first day was pretty much where I bought almost everything. The second day, I didn't stay very long. I didn't stay very long at the convention the second day because I had to leave early because I was taking the bus back. I was taking the bus back, and my bus was leaving about 3:30, so I only stayed for I got there maybe about 11 and stayed for a couple hours, and I picked up a few other things, but it was fun. My experience in AwesomeCon was fun, and, you know, I got to see some interesting things. Like, I was glad to see that there's a Ghostbusters exhibit, and again, those are always fun. When I see a Ghostbusters exhibit, is fun. There was a lot of prints, like comic prints there. You know, a lot of stands would have prints. Not that many comic shops. Like, I was trying not to compare AwesomeCon to New York Comic Con or MegaCon, but I found myself doing it because when I was in MegaCon, I was able to pick up like I even had a list of trades I was looking for. I was like, yeah, I want to get these trades if I can see it. And because when I was in AwesomeCon with Mr. Multi, we went to a certain trade block, like, and you can get like oh, get this for about $20, 4 for $20, and things like that, trades. And I was like, they didn't have that. They had one there that was about single issues, and you get 25 for 25 single issues for something. I forgot. I was like, I really don't want single issues. I'm looking for trades. And when I did find one, they were selling them at regular price. And I was just like, no, I'm not really. You know, I was like, nah, I don't really. And they were just selling variants and not really much trades. And the trades that they did show, I had most of them. So I have, so. But they had prints, and I picked up, there was one booth I picked up, and that's what leads me to the first thing I picked up. And I went to a booth that I'm actually a Kickstarter backer with, and it's from the PETA Comics, and pretty much this is all about African folklore and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, and it talks about it. So I was able to pick up a few books. One of them I was able to, the one I picked up, the first two books was this book called The Chronicles of Narbonne, The Rise of the Melisi. I was like, okay. Because a lot of the trades, a lot of the things I had because I'm a backer. So that was the first thing I told them. I'm like, I'm a backer. So, and they're like, oh my, really? Thank you. And I was like, cool. But then it was this that really caught my eye. Showdown, Chaos Rise. It's basically like it showcases like African martial arts and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I gotta get that. So it's like Street Fighter and stuff, but just showcases African martial arts. And I think people forget that, yeah, there are martial arts in Africa. So it was cool to pick these up, and that was the one thing. So it was a lot of fun to get those, and that was pretty much all the comics I picked up. After that, mostly it was T-shirts, and I got prints, and that would leads me to the shirts. I'm just gonna show you the shirts. I got a couple of shirts. When I went to this convention, it was mainly about me this time around. I was like, because usually when I go to conventions, guys, I'm not just thinking about me. I'm thinking about friends, and I'm like, okay, let me pick something up from my brother, or let me pick something up from my friends or something like that. But this time I was like, no, Awesome Con's just about me. It was just for me. I was like, yeah, just about me. So the first one I picked up, first shirt, I went to a booth and they were selling, one shirt was like $25, and then if you get 3, you get it cheaper. And I picked up a few. I picked up 2. And the first shirt I picked up was this bad boy, the Big G himself, Godzilla. And so I definitely had to pick that up. And shouts out to people who created Godzilla -1. They won for best visual, and I posted a big post on the community feed about that. What that award meant to me in general. And so go check it out if you haven't seen it. The other from the same booth I got was a Cowboy Bebop shirt that just caught my attention because it reminded me of I'm a big fan of the Gorillaz, and it reminded me of their album, the Gorilla album's Demon Days. So I got Cowboy Bebop and Space Cowboys and Hunting Days. So I was like, yeah, this is dope. This is dope. And because it's like the Gorillaz album, you know, Demon Days. So that was fun. And then the last day I went and I found another booth, and pretty much I picked up 3. If you pick up 3 shirts, they also give you a free print. And where did I put that print? I think I put it somewhere, but I think it's over there. But let me just show you the shirt. So first shirt, I needed to get something in honor of Akira Toriyama. So I got this, the homies, and it's got Master Roshi, Goku, Gohan, Trunks, on the cover. I was like, yeah, I gotta get this. This is dope. This is dope. So that was another one. And then of course, you know your boy had to get something with his boy. Of course, I had to get something with my boy Spidey on it, right? That was dope. I was like, yeah, that's fly right there. And then this one caught my eye because I had to get another something with the homie, something with my boy, my favorite, Link, and it got to read what it says. Don't call me Zelda. I was like, I got to get this. This is dope. So I was like, yeah, my boy Link. So I got that. And then they had and for free you would get a print, and the print, this was the print I picked up. They gave free as it's Final Fantasy. Everybody, there's Cloud, there's Tifa in there, Eris, and that's about it. Those are the three that you can see. And Cloud and Eris. So that was the print that I got. This is 11 by 17. So I asked the guy, like, what's the dimensions? And he said 11 by 17. But before that, I picked up some great prints from the first day I was there. I was like, don't buy anything. And I went past this booth with this dude, and he drew a lot of anime work. And I was just like, oh, don't get it. Don't come back. And I was just like, something was telling me just did it, and I did it. And I got 3 of them for a good price. And these things are big too. So the first one, and when I got there, his name is Oz. And the funny thing about him is that I'm looking at him, and after I bought everything, I'll go to this. I was like, bro, you from New York? And I was like, yo, bro, you from New York? He's like, yeah, I'm from Brooklyn. I was like, look, a New Yorker can tell a New Yorker. I knew right away you were from New York. I'm like, and he's like, it's just something about our swag, something that we hold ourselves, how we carry ourselves, and it was like that. But his hype man was pretty good. We talked anime and stuff, and it was great. And one of the prints that I got from him, it was the first one that caught my attention real quick. This Piccolo. The Piccolo, it caught my attention real quick. I was like, yeah, this one's coming with me. Piccolo doing a special beam cannon. You can see he's missing an arm. I like the chain. It's got his dad on his chain, and he actually signed it right there. So I was like, yeah, this is coming with me. So I got this one, definitely. And then I'm just like, he was a good hype man and also a good seller, because I was already hooked on. And he had a lot. I'm gonna leave the link in the description of Oz for his store if you want to like purchase any of his stuff by yourself, because he does have a website where you can purchase prints like that or shirts that he does. And I was just like, and I'm looking at what he had, and I'm just like, and he's like, so what else? He's like, what else, my man? You looking at stuff? I'm like, yeah, I'm still looking. And I'm like, I'm looking at good stuff. There's a lot of stuff there, Naruto and One Punch Man, all that stuff. And I'm just like, and just something popped in my head to just add, like, I'm like, what's Gatsu? You ain't got no guts? And he's like, guts? He's like, you want to steam it? And he came back out, and with guts, and I was like, at it. So again, this is still in the plastic. This one's still in the plastic protection, but again, he signed it at the where is it? At the bottom over here. but yeah, I was like, yeah, and then his hype man, his helper was like, yeah, I don't fuck with his boy. I was like, Griff, yeah, I was like, yeah, don't mess with him. So that was two, and then I was just like, I was like, yeah, he's like, if you buy a third one, he said, if you buy a third one, I'll give you a big discount off of it, and I'm like, all right. I was like, yeah, you're selling it. And then so he's like, so what do you want? And it was good. There was one that had Huey and Riley from the Boondocks, that were dressed up as like Black Panther. He was like, I'm out of the Deku, and it was a Deku up there too. I was like, ooh, that Deku's now. He's like, yeah, I sold that one. The world sold out of that one. I was like, oh, but I saw. And I was like, what about the Yusuke? There was a Yusuke with him doing the spirit gun. And he was like, I'm out of that one too. He's like, but you go on the website, you can. I was like, yeah, okay. But I picked up something out of Yu Yu Hakusho. And my man Hiei picked up that one. So I was like, yeah, give me the Hiei. I was like, can I get the Hiei? And he's like, yep. And then we started talking about the live action. And I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I said, I wish Hiei did more than just use his sword, because that's what they focused with him on. But outside of that, I enjoyed it. So those are the 3 prints I got. And I got a good price for them. But those were fun. And they were heavy, too. I was like, these little got some weight to it, because I had to carry that stuff around for the first day. And I was a little pissed. Well, not pissed, but I was just like, yeah, I really don't want to carry all this stuff right now. But it was fun. Even when I got back to the hotel, the concierge was like, looks like you had fun at the convention. I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah. That was the first thing when I checked into the hotel. They said, so what are you here for, the convention? I was like, yeah, how'd you know? He's like, yeah, because he says, yeah, because our hotel is always like a big convenience for it. And that right there is another thing, guys, that I enjoyed, is the fact that it was a convenience. Since my hotel and the center once was up the block, it was like 2 blocks up, and that's something I always appreciate whenever I go to conventions outside of New York. Whenever you can ask Mr. Multi. I always try to get a hotel that's close to wherever the convention center is. When I went to MegaCon for the 2 years, the first time, my hotel was right up the block, like right across the street from the Orange County Center. The next time is the one that one was because I booked that hotel on short notice, and I was like, yeah, so that one is a couple of a mile away, which I don't like. I was like, I didn't like that, because we had to drive everywhere, which I didn't appreciate it too much. But yeah, I was at the Moto Hotel in DC City in Chinatown, like so it was really cool. So everything was in walking distance, guys. Everything. I was even able to try one of a main staple in DC, Ben's Chili Bowl. I got to try Ben's Chili Bowl, and I gotta admit, that chili is the bomb. I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I believe the hype. I can believe it. Ben's Chili Bowl. So yeah, that was one of the big major things that I also wanted to try in terms of like mainstay foods that are in Washington. And Ben's Chili Bowl, I got to try that. I was like, okay, yeah, this is good. This is good. The chili is great. So it did happen. And then I saw Raising Cane's there when I was going back to Union Station. I was like, I wanted to stop in there because I've never had Raising Cane's. I always wanted to try their famous chicken tenders, but I was like, I had to catch my bus. So I was like, fuck, I can't get it. But outside of that, I had a good time. Would I go back to Awesome Con? Yes, I would go back. But I can check that off my bucket list. I was able to check that off and put a 1 next to it because I've been there one time. And there are like so many other conventions I want to get to. That's on my bucket list, and you know, I think there's over 14 cons on my list, and I haven't even scratched the surface, even a quarter of it yet. You know, for example, like I want to get to, you know, C2E2, which is in Chicago. I know that one's coming up, but you know, you got to plan that stuff out most of the time. I know there was I still want to go to San Diego Comic Con. I want to go to still working on East Coast. Still working on East Coast. I know there's the Fan Expo in Boston. There's the Fan Expo in Philly. There's Hero Convention in North Carolina and Charlotte. There's I said C2E2. There's the Tide Water Convention in Virginia Beach. There's Blurred Con. All these are still on the East Coast, and then there's Comic Palooza, which is in Houston. There's Emerald Con in Seattle, which I know passed. That's another one. But over time, my first convention for 2024 was supposed to be MegaCon, but it didn't turn out. It was Awesome Con. I had a great time. What's next? What's the next convention? I usually try to go to 2 to 3 conventions a year. Next one's definitely New York Comic Con. I'm a New York Comic Con. I know Baltimore Con's coming up, but it's between New York or Baltimore, and I'm gonna choose something closer, which I'm from New York, so, and it doesn't mean I would have to travel far, you know. So it's gonna be probably Baltimore. Baltimore will probably be next year, maybe next year. Next year for sure. I will say this out loud. I'm gonna say this out loud because it's a promise. Next year I will be going to MegaCon next year for sure. It was supposed to be every other year. It was supposed to be 2020. Last time I went was 2022. It was supposed to be 2024, and then 2026 was supposed to be when I return back to Orlando. But I'm probably gonna hit 2025 next year. The tickets are already on sale, early birds, and I'm like, yeah, you know you want to do it. You know, get them early bird tickets in quick. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yep, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna put some money to the side and start putting a little purse aside for that convention. Same thing I'm doing now for New York Comic Con. Next month I'm gonna start. I have a little purse that's gonna be like my money purse for New York Comic Con. I'm gonna put that money aside, and like that's for New York Comic Con. That's for that. I love going to conventions, guys. I didn't cosplay this year. I may cosplay one day in New York Comic Con. I might. Who will it be? You'll just have to find out. I'm not telling anybody. I was supposed to cosplay at MegaCon. I created a character, Soldier 82. Y'all saw the picture. I put a lot of effort into that, and but it is what it is. But yeah, guys, that's all. Those are the purchases I made at AwesomeCon. The shirts and the comics and the prints made up. Those prints will be going up soon. You can see my wall, guys. I have so many prints, but the problem is I want to frame a lot of my prints, but these ones don't need a print because they're just like in a big. They kind of in its own print itself. So I'm gonna just find a place to put my Hiei, my Piccolo. The Piccolo was instant because that was for Akira. I was like, yeah, I gotta do for Toriyama-san. But Hiei and Guts. I'm gonna look on Oz's. I follow him on Instagram now too. So Hiei, I definitely was like, yeah, I gotta get more. I gotta get some more of his prints and things like that. Maybe buy some for friends and stuff, like for birthdays and stuff. It'd be cool. But outside of that, guys, thank you for listening. I ran my mouth off long enough. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you want to see like images of my Washington trip, you can. If you follow me on Facebook, you can look up. Or I may put it in the description, like where my photos are. I posted some photos in the community feed or you can, if you follow me on Instagram, you can find it there and things like that. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. Like I said, I would go back to Awesome Con again. You know, just alone, just not just even for the price alone, but just, you know, it was fun. It was a fun experience, and I enjoyed being in the metro area of Washington and things like that. It was a lot of fun. You know, it was a lot of fun, and I loved that everything was in walking distance. Didn't have to take a Uber. Didn't have to do any of that. Even didn't have to even take the public bus. I mean, the buses were all over the place. It felt like New York. I was just like, I'm in New York. I'm just felt, because that's mainly how it is. Like, when you're in New York, it's just so much transportation that you really don't need a car. And that's something that I tell everybody, especially if you are in the city or in New York in general. People ask me, do you drive? Because I'm like, no, don't really drive. Can't really. I'm technically kind of blind from a distance. Like, when I can't see too far at night. I can't see like things at night too good. Like, when I'm walking, I can see it if it's close to me, but from a distance, technically I'm blind, and technically that's what they say. I can see it, but, and then of course there's a little trauma behind the driving situation that happened when I was a kid. Got into a bad accident. That trauma is still, I get behind the wheel, I start having a panic attack. So yeah, it's tough sometimes. But I get around just fine as it is. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Awesome Con, if I was rating it, it gets a 8 out of 10 for me. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. 8 out of 10. I tried not to compare it to MegaCon because the Orange County Center is just fucking huge compared to the Walter E. Convention Center. Because there were still businesses in that center. Like, the con wasn't fully off for the center. There was like salons, and you know, all kinds of stuff still in there. So basically, we had to go up, move around, and then down to where that was. It wasn't like once you walk into the Jacob Javits Center, and that whole center is dedicated to New York Comic Con, or the Orange County Center, that's dedicated to MegaCon. No, it wasn't that way. So it was a little different, but it was still fun nonetheless. There was Wild Bill's. I was like, oh, Wild Bill's here too. I was like, filling me up, boy. Yo, yeah. I like Wild Bill. I actually order it now. Wild Bill soda from Amazon. Like, you can get it in a little can. And so I always thank Gabi. I always thank Multi for that, because that was fun. And there was some exclusive things there too, like flavors there. But it was fun. It was fun. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun indeed. Well, guys, you guys take care. Thank you for listening. I'll see you guys next time, and deuces.